Hey guys, Jim here. I just want to talk to you for a few minutes about my love of small knives and how practical they can be. Impractical in some ways, I suppose, but for my lifestyle, I think, and for most people's lifestyle, a small knife can be a lifesaver. It can be a very, very practical thing. So I just want to kind of go over a few of the knives that I've got here in that smaller category and see what you guys think of them. Starting off with, I guess, the smallest knife that I've ever seen. And it's so small it doesn't even want to focus. Come on, big boy. There it is. The SOG Fusion. This is a teeny, tiny little Tanto. I got it for free. You know, I didn't pay for it, so I figured I forgot what it was. It was some promotion they were running. I think if you filled out a survey or something, they sent it to you for free. It took them like, I don't know, 8 or 9 months to get it to me. And I figured, yeah, I really don't care. It's not something I'm ever going to use or carry. But I mean, that is ridiculous. To give you a size comparison, let me put a small Sabenza in my hands. And a small Sabenza is not a big knife. I mean, this thing is tiny. It's smaller than my pinky. It's such a cute little knife. Such a cute little knife. So anyway, that's the smallest one I've got. And probably the single most impractical knife I've ever owned. Getting down into some of the other ones, I guess the next size up would probably be these little Kershaws here. I love the fact that they inlaid the mother of pearl into both sides. Ken Onion speed safe system built in, and it's the, well, here it is, Frank Centophant blade. Focus, there we go. Then Ken Onion's signature on the other side. This was a pretty darn cool little knife. Again, I've never carried these because they're a little bit too small. I certainly find a use for them. A lot of you know I tend to use, well, I always use knives on my show. And, you know, sometimes I like to bring out something bigger. It's a little bit more fun on television. But sometimes I want to be able to keep that knife in frame when I'm doing the scratch test on the Sapphire. And something in these sizes is certainly a hell of a lot easier. This is one of my favorite of my small knives. And it took me a little bit of time to find these. Every now and then they come around. For a while, you can have a dry spell for a year and not see any of these anywhere. It's almost like they're discontinued. And then all of a sudden, they just come out. This is the UTX 70 by Microtech, of course. This was from the December 2012 run. And I wanted to get the full serration on one side of the blade. Double-edged blade, 1/2 serrated, 1/2 plain. I've never seen just how tight this would get. I guess that's about as tight as it gets. This is an utterly ridiculously sharp blade. This one is almost to the point of being scary. It's just so needle-like. It's so just ridiculously sharp in every aspect. But this is a really fun little knife. If you want to carry something discreetly, assuming that your state allows you to carry an automatic knife, this is a wonderful, small, discreet carry, tough little sucker right here. You could do some pretty serious damage with that knife. Let's see, next size up. This is one I've actually had for about 10 years or so, I suppose. The CRKT KISS, Keep It Simple, Stupid. And I never really carried it as a knife. I actually carried it as a money clip. I would just simply keep that closed up and I would fold up my money, stick it in there. Always thought it was a neat design. It is. It's very simple. It's very easy to use. Not the safest design I've ever seen. There are a lot of ways for you to do a lot of damage to your body with this thing. I mean, that works like a pair of scissors. Anything gets stuck in there. And you know what? That's actually that's a pretty damn sharp blade. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure I'd ever want to carry that again. But, I mean, I think these were like 50, 60 bucks, something like that. Maybe they were more, and I just don't recall. But I thought it was a pretty cool system when I had first seen it. Back in those days, I wasn't into any kind of custom knives or expensive knives, so this certainly fit within my budget, and it was a cool little novelty, and I guess I kept it around for a reason. I think it's pretty neat. So, moving on, getting a little bit more serious. Actually, before I get serious, let's get to this guy. This is the most crazy, overbuilt, bordering on ridiculous mini knife that I've ever seen. And that's why I bought it. And again, these weren't very much money. These were $70, $80, maybe $90. Look at the construction. Standoffs, pillar standoffs built into this. Really great jimping all the way through. This is a Mantis. And I got to tell you, they did a couple of different versions. They did, I think, a clip point blade, which I think was, what was that thing called? Something Tony, Little Tony or something like that. And right now, I just forgot the name of this one for some reason. But this is actually a cool little knife. It's very impractical. It's very slow to open. You'll get the worst case of Strider thumb on this, worse than you'll ever get on a Strider. There are actually very sharp edges to that thumb hole there. And just because of the bulk of the knife, look how thick this thing is. I mean, your standard, small frame knife like this. Again, going back to the small Sebenza. I mean, damn, this is like two small Sebenzas in your hand. It's a little bit harder to get open. You really have to throw your thumb up here. But this thing is like a damn chisel. And because of the price, I wouldn't mind using it as a chisel and really trying to beat up on it. That is one hell of a pivot on there, too. That is a massive, massive pivot. Sculpted G10. They spent, time and money sculpting the G10. Really good quality lock on there. Nice liner lock. Nice early lock up. But again, you really can't flick this. So you're never going to get a chance for that flat surface to flatten out the round edge of that blade stop so it starts seating a little further and a little further back where that's going to start walking, because you really can't flick this thing too hard. But overall, I thought this was a really cool knife, and this is one that I've used on the show. I've had a lot of fun with it. And it's small, so it stays in frame, and we can stay in tight on what I'm working with. Very slick, very tough. I don't know what kind of steel they use. It's not marked on the blade anywhere, is it? No. But I don't know, just a fun little knife. And again, in these types of knives, you're tending to spend a little bit less money, unless you're on like William Henry and stuff all the time. Those small knives, those are going to get expensive. One of my favorite small knives that I've ever owned, the Brous Blades, Jason Brous Silent Soldier Folder. I've done a video on this. I'm not going to get too much into detail because I did like a 20-minute video. There's more than you'd ever want to know about this knife on that video. This thing is incredible. I mean, just from the way it just falls into your hand, the fact that you pretty much can't be disarmed. As long as you throw your finger through that loop, you've got a weapon attached to your hand pretty much permanently. Flips open nicely. Very stout, very well made, nice and thick. Titanium backspacer, carbon fiber on both sides, D2 steel. This thing was made to rumble, and it's not cheap, but it's certainly not expensive. I think it's underpriced for what you're actually getting. One that I carry all the time. This thing gets a lot of pocket time. Still love it as much as the day I got it. Very impressed with this, and I'm glad to see Jason just doing more and more and more and more cool stuff. And then last but not least, in my small knife collection, this is the king of my small knives, period. I mean, and it's not difficult to see why. I've also done a full video on this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. This is my PF1 flipper from Chris Martin at Phantom Steelworks. Love the dude. He does incredible work. He's a super terrific guy. I've got a Timascus clip on here, titanium slabs completely etched with his mech etching. He does this acid wash finish, or oil slick finish that he calls it, where you kind of get like this, you almost see like water bubbles or something in it. And then he does this really great heat treating, breaks out the torch, and it makes the knife completely one of a kind. There are no two Phantom Steelworks knives that are alike, period. They're always going to be different. This is still my favorite of all my micro knives, my smaller knives. Even though, yeah, I mean, I love my small Sebenza, and they're almost identical in size. This is the one that gets all the pocket time now. Maybe it's because I'm still in my honeymoon phase. I've only had it for a few weeks, but I mean, damn, that thing's just crazy. So anyway, that was just a quick look at some smaller knives that I've got. I think they have some great everyday, real-world practicality to them. For the times that you can't carry something bigger and you still want a stout quality knife, look around, man. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Yeah, you could spend $400, $500, $600, you know, on a various William Henry or Chris Reeve. You know, again, this was not cheap. This was, gosh, with the Timascus, it was like $675. Certainly not cheap at all. But, you know, going down that scale, you know, now you're looking at, what were these? These were $250 or something. You know, and you get down to under $100 for everything else sitting out here. It's always great to have a backup knife. You're going to meet a lot of guys that like to carry more than one knife. This is a great, deep conceal, easy to carry type of blade. Yeah, you're not going to go out in the woods. You're not going to chop wood with it or anything else. But for your average, everyday kind of dude just chilling, this is fine. Yeah, I like to carry my bigger knives. I like to carry, you know, 3.5, 4, 5-inch blades sometimes. I mean, look at the size differences here. Take a look at this. I mean, that's ridiculous. There are days I just can't carry my bodega, and that's where a little guy like that's going to come in. So, all in all, I think it's going to depend on the individual. There are days I want to carry a big knife, days I want to carry a small knife. There's no, you know, kind of formula to it. It's whatever the hell mood you're in. You know, you're going to wear your black shoes or your white shoes today. It's just that simple. But just want to kind of give my thoughts on a few of my favorites. Stuff that's, you know, more readily available, easier to get your hands on. Maybe if you're looking for something a bit more special, you know, something like this, or really special, get a custom order in. Whichever way you want to go, there's a lot of varying prices sitting out here in varying qualities. I would trust half of these with my life. You know, this absolutely, this absolutely, this absolutely. And you know what? For as stout and tough as this thing is, I mean, I could use this as a damn pry bar. Look at that. That's a 1/4 inch thick blade stock. Yeah, I'd put my life on that. These other guys, probably not so much. But that's entirely up to you to decide. Thanks for watching, and I will try to get another video out as soon as I can. Thanks.